welcome to Rondell Designs. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how I made this painting right here. So very start to the very finish. Let's go. So I'm starting with this canvas that I have actually painted over an old painting that I wasn't happy with. The little marks you can see were actually some doilies that were part of a mixed media painting. So I ended up gessoing and then painting over with a dark grey colour just to give me a fresh start. And I actually love a textured base. So those bits of doily and other paint that you can see coming through the grey actually doesn't bother me at all. I think it adds a really interesting texture to the finished painting on the new painting. And I now always start with a dark colour as my base because I actually really love the depth that it gives you on your painting when you're doing lighter colours over the top of dark colours. It just, I don't know, it has something extra. So I'm starting off with my vase. I didn't have a clear image of how I want this painting to look. I really didn't. So I started with that lime green, but I just didn't love it. And then I've gone straight over it with some blue. And now I'm just really mapping out where I'm doing the flower stems. That darker green, of course, really isn't going to come through at all. So then I've gone over it now with a lighter green. And because I do want more of a three-dimensional sort of look to this painting, I'm trying to do the flower stems in a variety of direction. Now so I've mapped out the base of the flower stems. I'll come back to the flowers, but I'm just not loving the color of the vase. So I'm just sort of going over it with another blue. And I thought I might try and play around with the texture a bit and give it that really like short paint stroke and see how that goes to get the sort of look I'm after. But like I said, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for in this painting. I'm not using a photo or an actual vase of flowers as a reference point. I'm purely just going from my imagination and just really playing with it as I go and seeing what grabs me and more sort of intuitive painting, I guess you'd call this. Now I'm adding in a background, so like a tabletop, obviously it would be, for so it looks like the vase is sitting on something. Now I love this. Because I've done the vase first, I love painting in the background after I've done the main feature. I don't know why that is. I just love how it gives almost a cutout look. So I'm happy with that background for now. It's time to move on to the flowers. With the flowers, they're going to be super loose. They're not going to be realistic at all. They're just, as you can see, I'm just doing random brush strokes to give the look of fat petals. And I have in my head that I'm going to do a couple of colours, so I want it to be multicolored. And literally I'm just playing with a few different colours and see what I think works best. And as far as the style of flower goes, I've kind of got poppies in the back of my head, but very loose. Like I said, I'm not using any photo or real life things as a reference point. So it's very loosely based on a vase of poppies. And I'm liking the colours that I've used. Now with the flowers that are over the vase, really I probably should have waited for my blue on my vase to dry because it's given me a bit of grief, as you can probably see when I'm trying to paint the flowers over the top of that. The blue sort of started to come through a bit. But, you know, I was in a rush, so I just did it. But if you didn't want to have to deal with that annoying blue paint coming through, you just wait till your vase, the underlayer dried a little bit more. Now you might have noticed with the flowers in the colours, I've kind of made triangles with each colour. So that lighter pink sort of makes a triangle, the orange makes a triangle, the darker pink does too. I think that just kind of gives a really nice balance to the overall look of the image. Now that I'm quite happy with the look of the flowers and the placement, I'm waiting for the petal parts to dry before I go into the centers. So I am now filling in the background color. Like I said earlier, I love filling in the background after I've done the main image. They're just that, it's not for everybody, but that particular look where it is look like it's more paper cutout, I guess you'd say. I just really like it, and I personally find it really satisfying painting into the little gaps like you see now. I don't know what it is, but it's probably not the smartest way to do a painting, but I really like the look, so I keep doing it. Another way I guess that you could do it is actually just paint the background in the exact colours that you're wanting first, let that layer dry, and then go on with your vase and your flowers after your background colours have dried. So I'm really happy with this background colour that I'm painting in now. However, I do realise that now it's probably too close to the bottom background colour. I feel like it's all sort of blending in a bit too much. So first of all, I'm also thinking the vase is just too dull of a blue. In my mind, I imagined before starting this painting a really nice bright blue vase. So that was kind of something that I thought at this point I really need to give that vase another go over. So I'm just painting it over with quite a bright blue instead of that darker blue. But that darker blue that's under the base, it sort of helps give it that depth as well. So I don't regret doing those first few layers at all. And that's the beauty of this type of painting, where it is more intuitive. You do something, and then if you decide, no, don't really like that, it's literally just a matter of painting over it and keep going until you do get something you like. So I'm much more happy with this blue. It's beautiful and bright, much nicer. I feel like it really pops off the canvas, especially with that nice background sort of tealy colour at the top there. But now obviously it's time to deal with the fact that I've made the two different background colours too close together. So I really like the top, and I like how that's popping with the blue of the vase. So I've decided to go for a deeper colour for the table, I guess, that it's sitting on. So I've gone for a more green colour because I really did want this picture to be nice and colourful. And I think adding a more warm green as the background colour could be just the answer to give it that nice contrast. So already just doing that one side, I'm much happier. I think it's got much better contrasting colours. So we're just going to finish off the other side here. And like I said, if I didn't like this colour, then honestly I'd just paint over it again. The more layers you do, the deeper and more intense of a feel your painting is going to get at the end anyway. So just go for it. Try a few things out and see what you like. Now at this point, I'm just kind of having a look and seeing what little finishes need to be added on before I move to the next layer. And I noticed the vase wasn't quite perfect down the bottom there, so I've just fixed that. And I was thinking that I love the vase, but I feel like it was a bit plain. It was a bit too much of a block of colour. So one of the other ideas I thought I might consider was having a pattern on the vase. And now that I'm sort of happy with the background, happy with the vase colour, I realised that I did want to give it a little bit more of detail. I tried this green, but I thought it was ugly and it was blending too much in with the background. So I just got a bit of scrap fabric, which I usually have a couple of pieces of scrap fabric or an old face washer or something with me when I'm painting, just so if I have made a really big mistake and the paint's still wet, I can just like wipe it off and then go over at the top of it. So I wiped most of it off like you saw, and then I've just come back over it with some more colours, and I had to clean up the edge there because I got some of that blue paint over the edge. Now again, had I waited till this little band on the vase had dried, I would have been able to get to my perfect colour a lot quicker and easier, because I wouldn't be getting my new paint mixed in with the paint layer. But like I said before, I'm just going for it because when I'm painting, I get in flow, I guess you'd call it, and I just can't stop. So I have to keep going, and I know eventually I'll get the look that I'm after. It sometimes takes a bit longer, but for me, it's just, I enjoy the whole process. So if I have to go over the one section about 5 times to get the right color, I'm happy to do that. So you have to work out what your favorite way of painting is. But for me, this process is the best. Okay, so I'm now really happy with all of these base colors. I love the vase, I love the background. So it's now time to finish the flowers off. The petals are all dried. I'm thinking about using my Posca markers for the centers. I do this aqua color because I love it, obviously, as you can probably tell, but of course it's too close to the background color, so it doesn't work at all. But because I already did a few, by the time I realized it wasn't working, I just did them all and then figured I can go over the top of them. So now I'm just having an experiment with my other Posca pens. I'm up to a purple now, but it's just not working. So I've decided to go back to the paint. So I'm going back to the acrylic paint. Posca markers are great. They're just paint pens. So you can use them with your acrylic painting and you're not going to have any issues at all. They're all water-based, so it's totally fine to use. I love Posca markers so much, I actually stock them. So if you're in Australia, they're available through my website and I have a link in the description below. If you're in the US, I have links also, and yeah, they're just great for so many things. So now I'm just painting over the markers with more of a brown burgundy sort of colour, because I just think that sort of works in much better with the overall look of the image. And here I'm just going over those darker pink flowers just because once they've dried, they've sort of become a little bit translucent. So I just need to give them a little bit more love and finish off. I've added in a little bit of white to give it a little bit more of a texture instead of it just being that really solid colour. That helps to give you the look of shadow and stuff. And then on this orange one, just needed to give that a little bit more love as well. So I'm now completely happy with the flower petals, and the centers have dried. The paint on the centers have dried. So I'm up to giving them a little bit of a detail, which I've gone back to my Posca pens for, and they are looking fabulous on top of that browny burgundy color paint that I've used for the centers. By using these Posca markers for the center dots, I just feel like it gives it a really fun, vibrant finish, and I'm just loving how they look. So now I'm done with the flowers. I think they look amazing, and I thought I'm just going to give the vase a little bit of more detail. So I like the strip, but I'm going to see how the addition of a white Posca pen, just with some little patterning, looks with the overall image. And for this sort of detail, you could do any kind of pattern you like. You could just do dots, or you could do lines going in a certain direction. My go-to pattern is always love hearts. Don't ask me why, it just is. And leaves, so dots and hearts and leaves, I just love. So you might like to do something similar to what I'm doing here, or something totally different. So I'm really happy with this patterning. I love the look it's giving the painting. But guys, I'm about to make a huge mistake. I'm thinking, oh, should I outline the entire vase? But I pull it up to have a good look and just go, no, instantly. Let's make it, because I'm an illustrator by trade, I have a tendency to make pictures a bit more illustrative sometimes, a bit more outliney, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, as soon as I started to do the outline around the vase, I realized it just wasn't working. It was going to give it too much of a two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional look, and I'm not sure what the word is, but I just didn't like it. So I have to then go and fix it. Luckily, the paint pen was still mostly wet, so I got my little scrap fabric, but it did mess up the edge there. So I just have to spend a little bit more time going back over and fixing up those edges because I need that vase to be a nice clean edge. And because I've sort of mixed the blue to a specific blue, it's a little bit darker. So then I kind of have to go and give it a bit more shadow and fixing up this little background as well, which it wasn't a hard fix. And like I said, I'm always trying different things without too much fear because I love the process of painting. I never want to get caught up in that, oh, is this going to look good? Is this going to look bad? Because if it looks bad, like the thing I just did, it's so easy for me to fix it. So please, when you're painting or drawing, go with the flow and know that it doesn't matter if you do a mistake or make something look ugly, you can always fix it. So that is this painting done. I am signing my name. I hope you liked this tutorial. I hope it inspires you to get creative and work on your own artwork, and I would love to hear about it and see what you end up creating. Tag me on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to see. If you've liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. I will be really interested to hear in the comments if you do like this style of video, which is more sort of art than my craft DIYs that I have been focusing on lately. And yeah, this was really fun for me. I love the finished artwork and I hope you enjoyed the process. You have an amazing day and I will see you next time. And remember, get creative today.